The first-person shooter genre has been criticized for staying in a rut, and it's easy to see why. Game developers have a follow-the-leader mentality, where one developer will come up with something innovative and another will follow, trying to make a game that is obviously influenced by the other game, but with a little twist to it. Some of them will succeed and be fun and innovative, such as BioShock, where you had games such as Dead Space and Singularity obviously influenced by it, while you have other games which feel generic, rehashed, and like a bad clone. For example, for every Call of Duty 4, there are a few games such as Medal of Honor Warfighter, games which are criticized for being everything wrong with modern first-person shooter games. Games that feel, well, like they should not have been made, and that feel like they're trying too hard to be another game. Especially when you have games with, like, let's just say, linear scripted cutscenes that feel like rail shooters, except where you move forward instead of, well, being on rails. Or multiplayer first-person shooter games that try to copy the Call of Duty 4 formula and, well, fail hard and have a small player base. So it's no surprise that in around 2009, many Infinity Ward developers left the company, and for a good reason. The company was owned by Activision, which really just wanted them to make more Call of Duty Modern Warfare games. And of course you had Modern Warfare 2, which was a disaster, from hackers to the fact that, well, it just wasn't a fun game. I mean, it was horribly broken, but anyways, what happened was, many of them started a new studio called Respawn. Now, they released E3 trailers showing this new game, Titanfall, which blew people away at E3 and won tons of awards. Not long afterwards, me and many other Battlefield 4 Xbox One owners were sent invites to the Titanfall alpha test designed to just test the servers. Now, I could not talk about my alpha experience as everybody in it was under a non-disclosure agreement, and all you were allowed to say was, you were in the alpha, and that's it. So, I'm actually going to go on to the beta and talk about that. The Titanfall beta test was fun for a few days. It was a first-person shooter where you could run around quickly, shoot enemies, get a big robot and blow stuff up, and destroy camping robots with the nuclear ejection ability. You could also rodeo Titans if you knew how to destroy them even faster, and it was a fun, fast-paced first-person shooter. There were only a few maps though, I think there were only 2, the graphics were only average at best, and the game had severe frame rate issues on the Xbox One. Probably due to the fact that they used an outdated engine, the Source engine, which is an old engine dating from the original Xbox era. And many features were missing too, but it was a beta, so people assumed that in the full version they would finally add these. And then the game came out. While it started off fine, after a few days you started to see the flaws with this game, as the game quickly degenerated into Call of Duty. Campers using the same tactics, robots being dropped to serve as kill streaks, and the game felt just like the beta, down to the few features and the frame rate issues. There was also a campaign, but it's a joke, as I'll go into later when I talk about this game. So now this game has been out for a few months, and since Battlefield 4 got patched to the point where it's playable and actually fun, I decided to give Titanfall a new visit, and a new look. This time on the PC instead of the Xbox One. As after all, I sold the game on the Xbox One when I hit level 55, as the game's community degenerated into pure chaos, which is what you're about to see. And of course the matchmaking got broken. So now, I'm going to take a look at Titanfall. Has this game gotten better, or is it still a piece of trash? So Titanfall for the Xbox One, PC, and 360 is a first-person shooter set in the future with rebels fighting against a big mega corporation. The game is multiplayer only, and features no single player of any sort. There is a fake campaign mode where you can play through a set rotation of maps online with multiplayer, with some dialogue before each mission, and some dialogue during the mission, and no consequence if you win or lose a round. While initially you could choose which map, this was removed in the most recent update as of this video, so now you just join a random campaign lobby. Unlike Call of Duty, Unreal Tournament, and many of the games this was influenced by, there is no offline mode with bots whatsoever. The game has matchmaking with dedicated servers only, with no player-hosted dedicated servers besides those hosted with Microsoft Azure Cloud Services, which the game drops you in, similar to the PC version of Black Ops 2, with cloud servers instead of peer-to-peer online. While this gives an advantage to those living in low-ping areas and areas further away from the data centers, this will result in lag. And Titanfall actually had to be cancelled in South Africa, and it was delisted from that region's origin store due to fears of lag. And in another region, Australia, Respawn and Microsoft had to set up an Australian data center due to lag issues. There is no server browser whatsoever. However, in a patch they did add, now in beta, private match support. When the game first came out, it even lacked private matches. That should tell you something about this game right away. The netcode in this game is pretty trashy. You'll see players lagging around in the map, and you'll see at least one person do that in every round on both the PC and the Xbox One, and this is despite the game's heavy reliance on dedicated servers. The game lacks basic features as well, such as voting for a map. So if a map you don't want comes up and you want to skip it, you can't do that. And keep in mind, console and PC games have had this feature for years, and yet Titanfall, a 2014 game, lacks this feature. And the game, when it first came out, also lacked something as basic as naming your own class, something even Call of Duty 4 could do back in 2007. Thanks to the terrible netcode, hit detection is a joke as well. You can pump a whole clip into a guy and they won't die, but when they kill you, you'll die. That is pretty frustrating about this game, as it suffers from major netcode issues when it comes to playing online. And this is an online-only game too. So now let's talk about the gameplay and what you get when you get this game. The game could be considered a mix of Call of Duty, and I mean the later Infinity Ward ones, Halo, and Battlefield, with a bit of Tribes and Unreal Tournament thrown in as well. The game has the standard run-of-the-mill first-person shooter modes, which you can find in nearly any tacked-on multiplayer mode in any game nowadays. There's Capture the Flag, there's a Team Deathmatch mode, there's a Domination mode, and there's also a Last Titan Standing mode where if you kill all the other team's Titans you win and there's no respawning. Really, all that mode is Camperville. Oh, and there's the Pilot Hunter mode too, which is also Camperville, where only pilot kills count and not bot kills. I'll get into the bots in a second because that's going to be my next point. The game could pretty much be considered a Call of Duty reskin, as it's influenced in so many ways. The player count is capped at only 12 players, despite being on a system that can handle 64 people in Battlefield 4. So if you are expecting to have a massive war zone with might titans and robots and rocket launchers and futuristic weapons, you're not going to find that. Even Call of Duty has a higher player count. You can double jump, run on walls, call down a Titan, and shoot artificial intelligence bots who stand around and just serve to reduce your Titan build time. You can get kills to reduce your build time, as instead of using kill streaks or point streaks like in Call of Duty, you have a timer that ticks down, so anybody can get a Titan. Shooting bots or humans decreases the build time. You can also get burn cards, which are 1 life boosts which work only until you are killed or the game ends, whichever one happens first. These can range from boosted weapons, to special abilities and score bonuses, to even gain a Titan without having to wait as long. You can only carry 3 and must assign them before the game begins, however. Just like Call of Duty, you can create a class for both your pilot and your Titan. Just like Call of Duty, the create a class system works the same. In fact, it works the same as it does in the older Call of Duties, where you can create a class for your pilot, and you do this by just picking, well, random weapons. For example, you have a primary weapon, a secondary weapon slot, your ability slots, and really, it's done the same as Call of Duty. You can also do challenges for experience just like in Call of Duty. You can prestige, or in this game, advance a generation, and just like in Call of Duty, your level cap is 55. I mean, really, in COD 4 it was 55, in Black Ops 2 it was 55, and here it's 55 too. And from what I can tell, 10 generation levels too. If that doesn't sound like Call of Duty to you, because it does to everybody else, it really sounds like COD. Because, well, it's cloned from Call of Duty. Titan customization is the same as player customization. Pick from several slots and assign items you've unlocked. It's just like Call of Duty. It really is. Matches play out the same way as they would in a terrible Call of Duty lobby. Most matches consist of campers, along with people abusing unbalanced mechanics or weapons. Despite the game being made for you to parkour on walls, jump on the back of robots, everybody who plays this game does not play the game this way. You'll see people running with shotguns, you'll see people who throw C4s, or as they're called in this game, satchel charges, to people camping with shotguns, to people camping on rooftops or buildings far away from Titans, and the easiest places to kill a Titan as well. When you're not dealing with Titans, you don't worry. You can also kill pilots with smart pistols, which are pistols that aim for you. Just find a spot to crouch in, let the pistol do the aiming for you, and when it locks on, pull the trigger. Congratulations, you've just had the game aim for you, with you having to put no effort into aiming whatsoever. The brokenness extends to the Titans as well. For example, you'll have abilities such as, electric smoke, which, if you don't know, lets you kill any pilot who rodeos on the back of your Titan and causes auto-locking missiles to not aim. And did I mention that the missile launcher in this game you get by default sucks because it has to literally lock onto the target, and it takes forever to lock onto the target, seemingly, because by the time it locks on, you're probably already dead? That is what this game feels like. Because if you think the brokenness is with the pilots alone, it extends to the Titans. And that's just a good example of how unbalanced this game is. The game is badly optimized no matter which platform you play it on. For example, on the PC, the game requires an 8800 GT, and on my GTX 260, I have plenty of frame rate issues. Now, I might sound like I'm complaining, but here's the thing. This is a Source Engine game. I can run games like Team Fortress 2 and Garry's Mod just fine on my computer. But I can't run this game. I mean, I could understand if this was like BF4, for example, where that game really pushes your video card, but this is a Source Engine game with graphics that aren't too spectacular, and yet here's the problem. The game is badly optimized to the point where I've got frame rate issues on my GTX 260. And it runs better on my GTX 760M, which is on my laptop, but the problem is, this is Titanfall, and it's not that graphically demanding. So all I have to say is, this game is probably badly optimized, if, as you can see, you have frame rate issues with a game that doesn't look too spectacular whatsoever. Now, this isn't as badly optimized as the PC version of Ghosts, but I'll give Ghosts credit. It runs on a faster frame rate on the Xbox One than this game does. Now, another thing I noticed is that the controls are weird on the PC, as you can only map one button to an item at once, and all the buttons are pre-mapped. Did I mention that when you're mapping buttons, they each have several actions listed and you can't change them? So in other words, this game feels like a console port and not like a PC game. But the final thing I might as well mention, this game has aim assist on the PC version. Think about that for a second. A first-person shooter on the PC having aim assist with a controller. The last game I know that did that was Halo 2 for the PC. And look how that game turned out. A bad port, which was console-fied, and, well, gave you a free aimbot if you used a 360 controller. So all in all I have to say on this game, the worst part, this game costs $60 new. Now, you can get this for less on sale. I got this for $30. I guarantee in a few months you'll be able to get it for $20, maybe $15 even. Here's the thing. This game is a ripoff at any price. $20 might be a reasonable price to somebody who doesn't know what they're getting into and doesn't know this game is going to be a piece of crap, but this game really is a piece of crap, and it costs too much. That's the cherry on top of this whole thing. This game just straight up sucks. There are better games out there. If you want a Call of Duty on PC, go get Black Ops 1, 2, or COD 4. And if you want, like, a good first-person shooter, there's also a Battlefield 4. Because let's be honest here, there are better games than this game. There really are. Don't buy this game. And you know, like, the final last thing I might as well mention, the developers haven't been listening to feedback too much. There's still no Titanless mode, where you can only play as the pilot, or there's still no mode where you can only play as a Titan. There really isn't. There is also no bot mode, and there's also no bot mode either, so you can only play against humans. It's like the developers want this game to be their way, without listening to community feedback whatsoever. And that's one of the main problems with this game. All in all, it's best just to stay away from this game, because Respawn is a terrible developer. Oh, and did I mention that when you're playing this game, for example, the campaign multiplayer is a total joke? Yeah, you can't even do that offline. Like you could in, let's just say, even Shadowrun had a bot mode. And this game has no bot mode whatsoever. I mean, a campaign multiplayer with bots, as in pilots being bots, might have been better than what's come out with campaign multiplayer being multiplayer only online. Really. This game could have been better in so many ways, but I think I might as well just end it here instead of rambling. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more.